here is in the same place you used to be. And your heart of compassion should be open. Your heart of mercy should be open. That we can help somebody have something to eat. Because you remember when you didn't have the things that you have today. Perhaps there's a feeling of self-satisfaction. You feel self-sufficient. Like this church, you have arrived. Like the devil, you say things like, what I have done, how I have reached it, and what I have done, my house, my car, my money. That we've got to be careful that we don't put more trust in the things than the Creator. That we can get like this church at Laodicea, that we feel rich. We feel that there's nothing missing in our life. This city's problem was the flow of water. It did not have adequate supply of water. And so no matter how good things were, by the time the water reached them, it was lukewarm. And so God was speaking to them in a language they could understand. Listen, they had a city ever so close to them that had springs of water. Hierapolis had a place where hot springs would spring right out of the ground. That they could sit in hot tubs created by nature. And here is this sophisticated place that can't pipe in cold water. That by the time it reached, it was lukewarm. Not only was it a physical problem, but it was a spiritual problem. I won't be long. That sometimes we look at our society and don't reach the point that we realize that we got a spiritual problem in the Bahamas. I won't be long. That you've tried everything. You've tried every policy. You've tried every solution, but except the Lord build a house. They that labor but in vain. I know. What does God have to do with everything? That everything you're trying to fix, God already has the solution. And when you got up today, He already prepared a table before you in the presence of your enemies. And the challenge sometimes is we can forget who got us up this morning. The challenge sometimes is that we can become so comfortable that we expect Him to get us up. We expect to make it to the end of the day. But God forbid, except the Lord wills it, we might not see the end of the day. So our physical problem in this country is a sign of a spiritual problem in this country. He that has an ear to hear, let him hear. So he's saying, and I wondered about this. I can understand him wanting the church to be hot. But what is this cold? I can understand wanting to come to a place where people are praising and dancing and shouting. But why would you say either hot or cold? Let me tell you something about cold water. It refreshes you. That sometimes when you find yourself sweating all day, you don't need a hot bath. You need a nice, cool, refreshing shower that opens your pores, that refreshes you. Some of us come to church and we've never been refreshed. That worship isn't refreshing. And let me say this to you, it's not because the praise team didn't sing your song, pastor didn't preach your preach, because refreshing is not up to me, it's up to you. That some of you come unprepared for worship. I've already dealt with that. Some of you come into this place and you really didn't come to get into His presence. Some of you are stuck in macaroni. Some of you are thinking about chicken and ribs and coleslaw and potato salad. Some of the men, your mind is on the game. Who playing today? You're not ready for worship. You're not serious about being refreshed. But if you want God's presence, the only place He says He inhabits is the praises. And so you need God to show up in your circumstance. You've got to be a praise team of one. You've got to come into this space and tell God, I'm ready for my breakthrough. I'm ready for the next level. I'm ready to be refreshed. I'm ready to be revived. Watch this now. Maybe Maybe the reason the country is lacking a revival is because the church. I feel all right in this place. I'm tired of a dead church. A dead church has nothing to do with musicians, has nothing to do with preachers. But there's some dead people that come to dead churches and they sit down and we could smell the carcass of dead worship. And I've stopped by to tell you that I've determined in my spirit I want to be revived in the presence of God. And while everybody else is standing around, all that I can touch there. Listen to me. I've always wondered why people can hear the same sermon and some leave shouting and others leave shouting. I always wonder. I said, God, we preach the same word to everybody. Everybody got the same message, but the challenge is not everybody came to see him high and lifted up. Not everybody came to hear a word from the Lord. Somebody came just to pass an hour and a half. Somebody came just to spend time to clock in, to say that they've been to church. But let me tell you, you're going to live long enough that whenever it comes time to worship God, that you get up in the morning from the rising of the sun until the going down of the same. Your God is worthy to be praised. Can I fix it for you? Worship is a byproduct of everyday worship. That when you get up in the morning, somebody ought to make time to tell him thank you. The reason you can't tell him thank you in church is because you can't tell him thank you at home. When you get up in the morning, when God allows you to open your eyes, tell him thank you. I appreciate the church now, but I say thank you for getting me up this morning. Thank you for putting shoes on my feet. Thank you for putting clapping in my hands. Thank you for putting a song in my spirit. Hey! If I had 10,000 tongues, it wouldn't be enough to thank you for what you have already done. He said that everything that has breath in it, he said you ought to praise the Lord. He didn't say if you feel like it. He didn't say if your back's not hurting. He didn't say if your leg working right. He said if I had enough time, I'd praise him all time. Sometimes we can't worship God because we are too emotional. That I can tell something going on in your face. I don't have to be prophetic. It's all over your face. You come in here, you're Mr. Grumpy, Mr. Grumpy. You sit next to people every time. Turn around, turn inside. Wait, you gotta put the devil under your feet. I don't know what's going on in your life, but this is no stress zone. To my young people, no stress. But when you come to church, you gotta know this is a no stress zone. Keep it. I don't want to hear it. God's been too good. I don't know what he's done for you, but he's been good to me. I don't know ways to turn it around because there's something you can't figure out. There's most things you can't work out, but you can look unto the hills from whence cometh your help. My help cometh from the Lord. See, every day our lives ought to be worship. If you've been here, that worship is not what we do on Sunday. Worship is doing what God has asked for you to do. And sometimes we can get to the place that we are lukewarm in our assignment. We're lukewarm in what God expects us to do. My time is almost done. In the 16th verse, he said, this condition of the church makes him sick. He says that, I'm sorry we talked about vomit in the pulpit. But he says, it causes me the vomit. Now, I've done some research and I realized that vomit is not a bad thing. I see the nurses I hear today, they tell me that the body expels it because it's not good for you. I'm almost done. That God says that kind of stuff, I can't have it in my presence. And he gets it out. He moves it out. One of the easiest ways that your body rejects things, the most common ways that you end up vomiting is because of food poisoning. That you get virus in your food. Now, here's the problem with getting sick from food. It looked good. That's the problem. And sometimes, all you barracuda eaters, they tell me that's the sweetest until you get hit. And tell them, you're going on eating nigga. But the challenge is that not everything that looks good is good for you. What am I saying? I'm saying that God's saying that some people look like they worship Him. Oh, they got the sweetest song, they got the sweetest praise. But God said, I'm pleased with that type of worship. I don't need lip service. I don't need you to just come into this place. But yet you got a bad mind, you got a bad spirit, you got a bad disposition, you got a focus that is not on Christ. He said, when you get into this place, bring me holistic worship. Let everything that hot breath praise me. Let every accent, let every part of you worship me in spirit and in truth. Many times we make God sick. Could you imagine that God shows up and says, this stuff is awful? And it's because we've become Malachi-ish. Can a man rob God? Yes. But not only have we robbed him in our tithes and offering, but our tithes and offering are symbols of how we treat God. That we want to give God the leftover. Let me say this. Some of you too tired to pay attention. Because you gave God the leftover. That some of you have reached a place where it's not essential for you to worship God. So you give God the leftover. Some people don't get serious until they get sick. You give God the leftover. When something terrible happening, you're like, oh God, I'll serve you. Tell everybody, you give God the leftover. Oh, to God that I had taken Christianity serious when I was younger. If I had just given God my all and all when I was younger, I believe I would be further along today than I am right now. And so with the little bit of time I have left, I want to give Him the best of myself. That's why I can't stand lukewarm people. I promise you, I can't stand people who doing things as if they do more for the world than they do for God. The devil is a liar. If I give God the best of my service, He'll take care of the other things. I can't give man more than I give God. I had a joke with the Mackey clan. I joked with them, but I was serious. And they know what I do. I say, it's soon Junkanoo time, do I grow? And when you see November hit, am I right about it? Yeah, you ain't saying that. That if it don't get straight by now, when you see November come around, I had a tailor, God bless his soul, best tailor I ever had, music maker, and he looked me in the eye. He said, now Rev, don't bring me no peace. He said, everything you need fixed or sew or put in place, bring it now, shop closed. And he was as serious as a heart attack. He said, I could make more money pacing than in this shop. He said, when you see November hit, Rev, don't call me, don't look for me. If you leave it in this shop, that's that. And some people are so dedicated to the things of the world than they are to the things of God. And God don't even require as much as the world requires. But yet you complain in giving Him that. This church, the text says, had become rich. I am rich. But maybe the problem of the church was it